Amazon made returns free, then the math broke. In 2005, returning an online order meant printing a label, driving to a UPS store and hoping for a refund. It was friction. It was expensive. It was, for most customers, a reason not to buy. Then Amazon changed the rule. Returns became free, guilt-free, no questions asked for 30 days. Within a decade, that single policy rewired how retail economics work, and nobody planned for what would happen next. Here's the first puzzle: if returns are free, who pays for them? The obvious answer is the retailer, but the real answer is more tangled. When you return a shirt, there's a logistics chain. Someone picks it from a warehouse, scans it, loads it onto a truck, drives it across state lines, unloads it at a distribution center, inspects it, restocks it, or destroys it. Each step costs money. Amazon absorbs those costs. So do Target, Zappos, and every major player, but they don't absorb them equally. This is where scale becomes a weapon. Amazon's return rate runs around 15 to 30% across categories. That's enormous, but Amazon's logistics network is so vast that the per-unit cost of processing a return is lower than almost anyone else's. They built the machine specifically to handle it. Smaller retailers, they didn't. They adopted free returns to compete. Now they are running that machine on margins that were never designed for it. But there's a second, stranger effect that economists predicted early on. Free returns change customer behavior in ways that seem irrational until you see the incentive structure. When returns have friction, you try things on carefully. You read reviews, you think twice. When returns are free, you buy 5 sizes of the same shoe. You order the item in 3 colors, knowing you'll send 2 back. Some people, and this is documented in retail studies, buy items with explicit intent to return them after one use. This phenomenon is called wardrobing or bracketing. It's not theft technically. You're buying and returning within the policy, but the economics of it are brutal. A retailer might sell you $200 of merchandise and have you return $150 of it. The margin on that $150 is gone, eaten by processing, logistics, and restocking. And here's the loop. To compete with Amazon, retailers had to match the free returns policy, so they all got trapped in the same economic structure. The hidden cost emerges in the data. Returned merchandise doesn't always go back on shelves. Estimates suggest 5 to 10% of returned items are destroyed outright, too damaged, too expensive to restock, or sitting in inventory too long. Some items are liquidated at steep discounts. Others are donated. The retailer loses money 3 times, on the original margin, on the logistics, and on the write-off. That cost has to live somewhere in the system. So who absorbs it? The math is simple and grim. Prices go up, product quality goes down, wages for warehouse workers flatten, small retailers exit the market. This isn't speculation, this is what happened. Between 2010 and 2020, the number of specialty retail stores in America fell by roughly 25%. Not all of that was Amazon, but the free returns arms race was part of the pressure. And here's what makes this a true system story. Nobody was wrong. Amazon wasn't wrong to offer free returns, it was a competitive advantage. Customers weren't wrong to use the policy as intended. Retailers weren't wrong to copy it to survive. But the combination of all 3 rational decisions created an irrational outcome. The system rewarded behavior that made the system less sustainable. There's a feedback loop at work here. As return rates climbed, retailers had to raise prices to maintain margins. As prices rose, customers became more price sensitive and more likely to buy multiple items to test. That drove returns higher. Higher returns meant worse margins. Worse margins meant less money for customer service, inventory quality, and competitive pricing. The system collapsed inward. Some retailers tried to break the loop. They introduced restocking fees, limited return windows, or required original packaging. But those moves alienated customers who'd grown accustomed to free returns. Others pivoted to drop shipping or marketplace models, outsourcing the return burden entirely. The problem didn't disappear, it shifted. By 2020, the system had evolved again. Retailers started using AI to flag high-return customers. Some began charging shipping on returns. Others offered in-store returns only, forcing you to leave home. These weren't malicious moves. They were defensive responses to an unsustainable cost structure. The free returns promise was being quietly eroded from the edges. Then came the pandemic. Online shopping exploded. Returns spiked. Warehouses couldn't keep up. And suddenly the hidden costs became visible. Companies like Wayfair, Overstock, and countless fashion retailers reported return costs as a major drag on profitability. Some started explicitly warning investors that return rates were a business risk. The system that seemed infinitely scalable hit friction. What we're watching now is a recalibration. Some companies are experimenting with try-before-you-buy programs that shift the risk to the customer. Others are offering free returns only on certain products or within shorter windows. A few are building reverse logistics as a profit center, buying returned items, refurbishing them, and reselling them. None of these solve the core problem. They just distribute it differently. The economic historians who saw this coming pointed to one thing: incentives. When you make returns free, you're not just offering a service, you're rewarding who bears the risk of a purchase. It used to be the customer. Now it's the retailer. That sounds fair, the retailer should stand behind their product. But when the cost of that risk exceeds what the business model can absorb, the system breaks. This is why the story matters. Free returns seemed like a pure win for customers. Cheaper, easier, risk-free shopping, and in isolation it was. But retail operates as a system. Change one variable without accounting for the feedback loops and the system adapts in ways nobody anticipated. Prices rise, jobs disappear, small competitors fold. The convenience you gained is real. The costs are real too. They are just distributed across the system, paid by people you never see. So when you return an item today, and you should if it doesn't fit or work, understand that you're triggering a chain of events that costs money, burns time, and shapes decisions made by people in warehouses and boardrooms. That's not a judgment. It's just how systems work. Every choice has a cost. Sometimes the cost is just hidden until it isn't. The question Amazon answered, "Can we make returns free?" led to a second question nobody fully anticipated: can the system sustain it? The answer, it turns out, is conditional. It depends on scale, on automation, on logistics efficiency, and on customer behavior staying within certain bounds. When all those variables align, free returns work. When they don't, the system breaks quietly and the cost moves somewhere else. That's the real lesson of how online shopping reshaped retail. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe. Each week we examine the economic systems behind the products and policies you use every day, and why they collapse when nobody's watching. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.